Live on the Psycho Bunny Death Cult.
All right.
And YouTube.
Hi, guys.
Nobody is watching. Nobody will.
Where is everybody?
They found something better to watch. Maybe they could tune us in.
Pornhub can wait for you guys.
It's true. It'll be there.
Yeah.
You can. I mean, if you want to masturbate to us, that's fine. I'd be flattered. Really. Not that anybody's going to. If anybody, you know what? If anybody's jerking off to me,
Monica's one.
it's fine. Oh, Monica's here.
I am. Yay.
Hey, Georgia's in the house. Hey, Georgia.
Hey, Georgia.
How are you, babe?
Hi,
Is it
Georgia.
warm in here? Or is it just me? Okay. You want to
Oh,
crack
must
that
have
window?
been all that alcohol.
We're going to crack the window. Georgia, how's your October, babe? Are you doing like us, doing 31 days of horror movies? If not, you should. Because why wouldn't you, really? We're about to talk about the old Texas Chainsaw Massacre Part 2 here in the Season of the Saw in the Padded Room Network.
Yeah.
Are you guys hanging with the Season of the Saw? You enjoying yourselves?
Yeah,
I am.
what's that mean?
We're all doing Chainsaw Massacre movies.
Oh, yeah.
You realize that, okay.
That's lame for me.
Talk lame?
Yeah.
You see what I'm dealing with here? You see this? All right. Texas Chainsaw Massacre Part 2. What's up, Aaron? How are you, sir? Aaron, you're doing 31 days of horror movies, right, for October? Why not? Why not do it? You're going to watch horror movies anyway. What I'd really like to do is 365 days worth of horror movies. But unfortunately, I have a job that I have to go to.
Yeah, but
You get pretty close to that, though, then.
I do.
I'll watch one movie a day in the evening.
Like if we rotate between the three of us?
Oh, we could do that.
Well, that's kind of cheating in a way.
We could.
Your parole officer is in the house.
Yeah, I see
What?
that.
What's up? What's up, parole officer? She's here. She's fine. I don't know if she passed her breathalyzer or not. You'll
Yeah,
have
look
to.
at this is leftover.
That's the stuff that you brought to my house, Mr. Parole Officer. I've seen my share of horror film. Of course you have, Aaron. Hey, James is in the house. Hey, James. All right, are we ready to start a goddamn podcast here?
Yeah.
Believe it or not, we have an actual show to get to.
Oh, but wait, I just have to give a toast to my ex-brother-in-law who passed away last night. Dave,
I would love
this is for you.
Toast you on that, but you didn't tell us you were going to do that, so
I
we
didn't
don't.
even think about
We
it.
don't have anything to toast you with.
But that's okay.
Again, ladies and gentlemen, you see what I'm dealing with here? James, James? Is that his name?
No, Dave.
Dave, sorry. Dave, that one's to you. I'll have a drink in your honor at some
Dave
point.
Candia.
Dave Candia.
Yeah, get that last name?
Not really.
Okay, never.
I think there was a sexual reference there.
No, there was not a sex one.
Candy?
Candia. Canduya.
No.
There needs to be a Texas Chainsaw, a TCM for horror movies. A Texas Chainsaw Massacre for horror movies? Is that what you're implying? Jim's in the house. What's up, Jim?
Hey, Jim.
I'm not sure what TCM you're referring to, but you're probably right, whatever that is. All right, let's get Turner Classic Movies. Well, basically, Jim, that's Shudder. It's owned by AMC, which is the same as Turner Classic Movies. So it's pretty much the same thing. Laura's in the house.
Hey, Laura.
Ontario, California. I've been there.
Right on.
I've been there, Laura. All right, let's talk about a movie here, you crazy pricks. Whenever you're ready, Mr. Buddy.
Where's the?
There it is. It is warm in here.
You want me to open it more?
No, it's fine. The bugs are going to start getting in here in a second. And then we're going to have to pause the whole shit because Monica's going to have a freak out. Yes. That's right, inmates. We are talking about the Texas Chainsaw Massacre Part 2. This one got 5.6 stars on IMDb.
Good.
Directed by Tobe Hooper, written by L.M. Kit Carson. And of course, stars Dennis Hopper, Caroline Williams, and the Bill Moseley.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
His breakthrough role as Chop Top.
Oh, definitely.
The wackadoodle Sawyer that we've come to know and love.
Yeah.
Probably the wackiest of the Sawyer clan.
Yeah.
At least the most fun,
Oh,
I think.
definitely.
He looked like he was having a great time.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So this one is going to pick up 13 years after the events of the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre. We're still in Texas. We've got some funny things going on here. Now, we're going to start off with a radio station and a couple of fuckheads driving around Texas, drinking and driving, and fully armed with weapons and shooting at random shit along the freeway there.
I thought that was YouTube.
It was. That's Buzz. I'm Rick the Prick. I left my glasses in the other. If you didn't know these guys were dickweeds, you know that they're entitled fuckfaces because one of them is wearing a blue blazer, and in 1986 that means rich guy and a bit of a cock also. Standard fare for 80s, especially in the teen movie department, which is kind of where we're at. This is a very heavy metal movie, I feel like.
Yeah.
Like the soundtrack was very rock and roll.
Yeah.
A lot of the movie takes place in a radio station, which is
That's
very
probably why it's my favorite.
probably. Would you say this one's your favorite
This
movie?
is my favorite.
Would you like this one better, or do you like Return of the Living Dead better? Because
Well, you can't compare.
I
those
feel like
two.
they're
Those
very
are-
similar.
No, that's a zombie movie. This is a killing movie. Cannibal.
We've had this conversation before. Sorry, Monica's microphone was not on as usual. You see what I'm dealing with here? Yeah, I know it's mine. That's what
Yeah, this is Darian's
we all
microphone.
turn our
This is-
microphones off before we start the show, and then we go and we hang out for a second, and then we come back, and we usually turn our microphones back on. Most of us do, anyway. There are some problem children in the room. Anyway, I see I've got some editing to do tonight. Hey, Tom's in the house.
Hey, Tom.
Dennis Hopper brings the Oscar-nominated class to a Chainsaw Massacre. You're exactly right, Tom. And it's funny you bring that up because I read in the trivia that Dennis Hopper believed that this was the worst film he had ever made until that Super Mario Brothers movie. I don't think this one's that bad. I do think that the Super Mario Brothers movie is bad.
I haven't seen it.
You don't need to see that at all unless you are feeling sorry for yourself and you want to feel slightly better, I guess.
Oh,
I don't know.
Okay. I guess I'll go.
Don't.
Yay.
Do we need to have a talk? Yeah. What can we do, Monica? What can we do for you? Jeez. All right. Anyway, so we're going to start off in rural Texas. Alan's in the house. What's up, Alan?
Hey, Alan.
Hi, Alan.
We're in rural Texas. We've got these two fuckheads driving on the freeway, drinking and driving and shooting random signs. They call into their local radio station, K-Okla, Red River Rock and Roll, with the DJ Stretch. Let me tell you something. I've got a replica mug from K-Okla, and it says Stretch on it,
Oh,
like a
cool.
coffee mug. So
Oh, wow.
I should have brought it in here. I don't know why I didn't think of that.
Yeah.
But I'll post a picture of it on the Padded Room recreational inmate area page.
Very nice.
She likes bad boys. Yes, she does.
Yes.
By bad boys, we mean scumbags and losers.
Oh my God.
Guys that can't remain gainfully employed, Tom, is what we're getting at. Anyway, enough about that. So these guys are a couple of fuckfaces, and they call in, and I don't know if this is a real thing or not, but for the context of this movie, if you call into a radio station, they are unable to hang up on you. You have to hang up the phone.
Yeah, that was really weird.
I don't know if this,
That is true.
is it really?
Yeah, back in the day, if you didn't hang up and the person like left their phone not hung up, then you couldn't ever dial out until they actually hung up.
Wow.
Yeah.
But you would think at a radio station they would have some way.
Yeah, you would think they have
To do
multiple
that.
phones.
Well, yeah.
They kept like.
Yeah, ripping
Yeah.
things out of the fucking. Oh, Jesus. So we're going to now cut to the radio station. We're going to meet Stretch, the DJ, played by Caroline Williams. Fairly attractive young lady. Her audio engineer, a guy by the name of LG, who is just a straight up rube and a hillbilly,
Yeah.
spits a lot. And like on the floor of the radio station, which is disgusting and rude.
Mhm.
And you would think would raise like some OSHA violation or some kind of a health code thing. You would think like if you worked there more than a year, every time you walk in there, you're gonna like have to wade through a sea of loogies to get to your workstation. Fuck that guy, man. That's gross. Go outside and do that shit. Anyway, these guys are pricks. They call and harass Stretch, and they refuse to hang up the phone. And they're doing a lot of cackling, which is something teenagers did a lot in 80s horror movies. I miss that. I miss the cackle.
Yeah.
You know, this is Rick the Prick. And he had some cool party glasses on, too, which I think lent a little bit to the character. While they're on the phone with Stretch, they decide they're going to play chicken with some kind of just a regular farm truck that's coming down the road. So they do that, and they basically force this poor schmuck off the road. And they're hooting and hollering and shooting at road signs. And that's about the end of that. Now we're going to cut to 4 or 5 hours later. Apparently, these guys are on their way to a big party at Texas A&M, which I would understand to be a party school. They're pretty psyched for that, and they're half drunk and running out of ammunition. So they decide to call Stretch back. Now it's nighttime. Stretch is like, oh, God, these fucking turds again. All right, jackass, hang up the phone. But they keep her on the phone as they're crossing this bridge. The farm truck that they ran off the road earlier is back, and he's now obstructing their way across the bridge. So they have to slam on the brakes. The farm truck kind of wheels into their lane for a second, and Buzz, the driver, is like, "Get out of the road, fucker!" And then eventually the truck backs up, but throws it in reverse, and is now like keeling backwards across the bridge with these two turds. That's pretty intimidating because this guy's, I mean, these kids are assholes to begin with their fucking drunk ass road games. But this is a little intimidating. So the bed of the truck is like right next to the driver's side door of the Beamer that Buzz and Rick the Prick are driving. Out from the bed pops what appears to be a dead body. And it's like dancing, and you can see there's somebody like behind it manipulating it. And they're like, what the fuck is that shit? So they're like punching the gas, trying to get away from this guy. Did anybody catch the license plate on the BMW?
No.
This is how classy these two jackoffs are. FAH space Q.
Oh, wow.
Fuck you is what that says.
Okay.
Very classy. I don't think you could actually get away with that license plate, but
Probably not.
it's a cute little touch for Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. Anyway, so now they're like kind of in a race. One of them's going backwards though across this bridge, which apparently is now about 6.5 miles long because this bridge just goes and goes and goes. Dead body is like up in the bed of the truck, like doing a little jig and stuff. Eventually, the dead body pulls out a chainsaw. And we're going to notice immediately by this dead body's dance moves that this is clearly Leatherface somehow manipulating this dead guy because he does the Leatherface dance pretty accurately.
Yeah.
This is when Rick the Prick freaks out and starts shooting at the dead guy. Eventually, one of the bullets like grazes the face and knocks the face of the dead guy out, and then we get to see Leatherface in 1986. He's got like a weird. It's almost like when you do skydiving and you have to strap yourself. You basically have to get butt fucked by the guy that is jumping with you. That's what he's got going on with this dead body. You know what I'm saying? So once the face is like moved to the side, then we see Leatherface, and he's like moving the dead guy's arms and legs and the chainsaw and all that. Needless to say, he starts sawing into the BMW. They keep shooting at him, and eventually they get away from the truck. Unfortunately, before they do, though, Buzz gets like a nice, cute little bisection of his head gone, but he's still driving, and he's like, and there's blood going everywhere. And Rick the Prick is like, and of course the car careens off the road, probably does a couple cartwheels, and then smashes, and that's the end of these two fuckheads. All on the air with Stretch, right, and LG. And you're like, what the hell was that, darling? And she's like, I don't know. Hang up, you assholes. Hang up. So that sucks. I mean, it's fine. I didn't like those guys.
No.
I'm sure they were a lot of fun, but they seem like entitled fucktards to me. So I'm kind of glad they're dead, and I'm sorry if that offended anybody. Scarlett's in the house. What's up, Scarlett?
Hey, it's
Hi,
going.
Scarlett.
So from there, we're going to cut to the next day. We're going to cut to the actual wreckage of the car accident there, which is like all twisted metal under a bridge. And we've got a mysterious cowboy walking around surveying the carnage there. It's Dennis Hopper, and he's like, "Oh, I tell you what, these kids they didn't even do with the." And then here comes the regular cops. Now, it's something. All right, so here's one of the problems I have with this movie. When the regular cops show up, they're like, "Hey, it's Lieutenant Enright," and he's like, "Yeah, I'm here. I'm investigating a thing." Apparently, so Lieutenant Enright is played by Dennis Hopper. Apparently, he is some kind of a cop. I don't know what kind or how what like he never flashes a badge or shows any kind of credentials, but he's referred to as Lieutenant Enright, and he's respected by the local Rube Police Department, which is great. But they're like, okay, he's hunting the chainsaw killers, so we just need to let him do his thing.
Are you sure it wasn't
I'm sure it was not Lieutenant Dan. I did some research, and I came to read that is not in fact there. I could see that could be confusing to some. It is not in fact Lieutenant Dan, but Lieutenant Enright's there. He's like, I tell you what, this is the chainsaw killers, and like the little local cop is like, no, all you got here is a couple kids out drinking, driving, got themselves in a car accident, being wild. And Enright's like, oh, one of those boys so wild he done sawed his own head off. The, the emphasis on the Texas accent in this movie is mind-boggling. So, like, even people that don't even really need the Texas accent have it, and they use the fuck out of it. So there's that, including Dennis Hopper, who really lays it on thick. So now we're going to cut to, I don't know, maybe a day or two later. Enright has like sequestered himself in a party hotel, and was it just me, or did this hotel look a lot like the hotel from Nightbreed? Big party, lots of drinking, lots of drunk rednecks running around, things like that. Nobody else got that vibe.
No.
There's actually quite a few similarities between this movie and Nightbreed, but we'll get more into that in a second. Actually, this one came out before Nightbreed, so we can't really blame that on anybody. I think we can close that window now. You know? I told you bugs were going to get in. Anybody listen to me? No. Anyway, so that's cool. And apparently, since Enright has been in town, there's been a newspaper article about him. And Lieutenant Enright is a former Texas Ranger. Rangers have huge and expanded powers throughout Texas. Oh, well, that makes sense, Tom. Thanks for clearing that up. So I guess he doesn't need a badge or a gun, which would come in quite a bit handy later on in the film.
Right.
I mean, if you're hunting a guy with a chainsaw, I'm going to bring a Glock, not another chainsaw. But we'll get to that in a second. All right, anyway. Yeah, I mean, bring as many chainsaws as you want. I'm going to stick with the hunting rifle. So that's fun. The next day, he's in his party hotel getting hammered by himself.
Who's your enemy?
I don't know.
Oh,
Oh, he's a
cartoon
cartoon character.
oh, Yosemite Sam.
Yeah.
The little guy.
Yeah, with the big, the
Okay.
red mustache.
Whatever.
Parole officer. Anyway, he's there getting hammered by himself. Now, Stretch read the newspaper article, and she got the bright idea to track him down and bring him the tape of the chainsaw killings of the two fuckheads from the night before. So she does just that, shows up at his hotel. He's hammered, and I think he was contemplating suicide when she showed up, because that was not, it did not look good for Enright at that point in the film. She shows up, he's got like big heavy bags under his eyes, bunch of empty whiskey bottles in his room. He comes to the door in his underwear, and he's like, what do you want? And she's like, I got a tape of your chainsaw killers. And he's like, you're going to get in my way. Don't you get in my way. And she's like, I got evidence right here. He's like, you get out of here right now. And she's like, God damn it. And then he basically kicks her out. She goes downstairs where LG is waiting, and he has built her a cabin made out of French fries.
Yeah.
Now there are, all right.
That's a serious talent.
All right. Well, let me wax poetic here for a second.
Uh-oh.
Now, there are a lot of ways to tell a young lady that you're interested in her. Okay. Some guys do flowers. Some guys ask chicks out on a date. Some guys like to leave anonymous love letters. But ladies, if a gentleman provides you with a log cabin made of French fries,
Fail.
I demand that you suck his dick on the spot, because that is a lot of work, and those French fries have been eaten long before you get there. Make her a cabin out of French fries. Will you please? Do it now.
French fries is my favorite food.
Oh.
So hell yeah.
There it is. There it is. Nothing says love like a cabin made out of French fries.
That's right.
Go put me up some French fries.
I will do that.
And there's got ketchup all over.
Just give a nice drizzle of ketchup. God damn it. She's like, God damn it, LG. He didn't listen to me. And he's like, oh, come on, darling. I made you a little fry cabin here. And she's like, oh, LG, I love you. And then that's pretty much the end of that. Now we cut to Enright, back to Enright. Apparently he's sobered up a bit, and he has come to a few conclusions. So what he needs to do is go get himself some chainsaws. So he goes to the local chainsaw shop, which literally sells nothing but chainsaws, and lays what I think about $900 down on their log table, and then he just like, all right, okay. Now, don't get me wrong. Okay, first of all, he walks into the chainsaw shop and interrupts a phone conversation between the owner and what I believe to be the owner's friend's wife. And I believe, if you're really paying attention to this phone conversation, I believe the wife caught the friend cheating on her, and now she was ready to come to the chainsaw owner guy's house and have sex with him to get back. Because first he's like, no, he ain't here. He ain't here. I said he ain't here. He on the road. I don't know where he is. I ain't lying. He ain't here. And then the conversation takes another turn. She's like, no, don't you come over here. Don't you come on. I've been trying to do business, and you talk about pleasure, and pleasure is not my business. Whoever was on that phone wanted to go over there, probably present him with a cabin made out of French fries, and then suck his dick. I'm telling you, this movie is about 13 minutes away from being a full-on porno. Anyway, very strange. Lefty we're going to come to know this guy as Lefty. Lieutenant Enright shows up, lays about $900 down on the table, and then starts just basically picking out some chainsaws. Chainsaws are us, where a kid can be a kid and get a chainsaw. You're exactly right,
Yeah.
Tom. Chainsaws are us. I like to think that they had a animatronic giraffe for selling chainsaws also. Anyway,
Buy now and get it for just one penny.
now if you own a chainsaw emporium or a chainsaw, and somebody comes in and they're like, I'm interested in buying a chainsaw, but instead of like asking about horsepower and things like that, instead they pick it up and start like fencing with it, like doing lightsaber moves with the chainsaw. You should probably think about not selling that guy the chainsaw, even if he did lay $900 down on the tree stump that is in your establishment. I don't know what the fuck that thing was. Hey, Raven's in the house. What's up, Raven?
Hey, Raven.
Glad you made it, babe. We're talking about Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. So he's like, Lefty just like walks out with these chainsaws, and the guy's like, don't you want to try them out, make sure they work? So Lefty goes outside, he fires up the big chain. Now he's got 3 chainsaws on him now, like 2 little mini handheld ones and then 1 big one. What the fuck? What do you need that many chainsaws for? Are you gonna do? You're gonna dual wield 2 handsaws? Is that what you're thinking you're gonna do?
Yeah.
No.
That's gotta be like probably at least 200 to 300 pounds worth of chainsaws all put together.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's too heavy.
Lefty,
Especially Dennis Hopper.
well, apparently he's been doing some squats at some point, because you got to have the core strength if you're going to handle that much saw. Anyway, so he goes outside and he starts whacking away at this tree stump.
Like a baseball.
Yeah, he's doing like some weird spin moves on it and like, wow. And the guy is up on the porch and he's like, what the fuck is going on in Texas at the chainsaw shop? There is a cast of characters there. I think we could have done a sequel to this just on the chainsaw shop owner. Because what's up with that dude? Did he nail? I'm more interested if he's going to nail his friend's wife.
We have a chainsaw.
Strictly chainsaws? I'm sure they have something else there besides chainsaws.
Yeah.
This doesn't surprise me about Carson City one bit, to be honest with you. And I'm sure there's somebody in there as we speak doing fencing moves with a chainsaw.
Yeah, we go in there.
Of course you
Oh, of
do.
course you do.
Of course you do.
The parole
Yeah.
officer has to get his chain sharpened.
Well, okay. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Anyway, so that's kind of weird. Now we're going to cut to that night. Well, actually, we're going to cut back to the party hotel. There's actually a reason for Stretch and LG to be there. They're actually covering an event, the Great Western State Chili Cook-Off.
Yay!
Mhm.
Woo! I like chili. I'm a big fan of chili.
Mhm.
So they're presenting the winner, and as soon as the guy steps up to claim his trophy, we're going to recognize him right off the spot.
Oh yeah.
Goddamn Drayton Sawyer, played by Jim Sydow, who we'll recognize from the first Chainsaw Massacre movie. He's dressed like a used car salesman, gets up there, gets his trophy, and the last roundup, he basically is operating a food truck. So, and it's called the last roundup. And the lady is like, number one is Drayton Sawyer, the last roundup. And then she takes a bite of the chili and she pulls a fingernail out of her teeth. And Drayton's like, it's one of them hard shell peppercorns there. That's how we get our unique flavor. And she's like, tasty. So now we know what the Sawyers have been up to since we left off. That's pretty gnarly.
Winner second year in a row.
Yeah. Now we're going to cut back to the radio station. Stretch is on her way to work. She gets there. Lefty, Lieutenant Enright, is sitting on the steps waiting for her. And she's like, well, what are you doing here? I thought you didn't want nothing to do with me. And he's like, I need your help, girl. I want you to play that tape. I want you to play it every hour on the hour until somebody hears it. And maybe then people will start taking me seriously. I don't think that the FCC is going to let that shit fly. Because there was a lot of motherfuckers and fuck off and pig fuckers and all kind of language was very colorful on the murder tape, not to mention the sounds of screaming and twisted metal and chainsawing. So, and it's like an 8-minute clip too, man. And she plays it every hour on the hour for the duration of her for as long as she's on the air that night. Okay, so it's like a lawn equipment place.
Yeah.
It's not strictly chainsaws. That's not as bad.
Yeah.
I mean,
They can all do it.
I could see it like if we lived like in the Oregon forest. I could see a chainsaw shop there. Even in Texas, it seems out of place because how many trees are there in Texas? I mean, I'm sure there's some, but not in this part, not in where we're at here. There's only psycho killers and wackadoodle cops or rangers or whatever. Anyway, so that's pretty gnarly. He's got his chainsaws, and now he's got Stretch set up to play the goddamn tape every hour on the hour. So she starts doing just that. We cut to Drayton Sawyer driving his food truck home or wherever he's going. He gets a phone call from somebody, and we get the exact same Drayton Sawyer that we saw in the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre. You goddamn kids! I told you not to do anything. What? The radio? What? I'm not listening to. Okay, what stage? You goddamn kids and you goddamn I told you not to. He's like the worst, like the neighbor that always yelled at you as a kid. That's Drayton Sawyer right there to a T. Hey, Connor's in the house. What's up, Connor?
Hey, Connor.
Hi, Connor.
So that's where we're picking up pretty much with the Sawyers. They're up to the same fucking antics, except now they're putting people in chili and selling it out of a fucking food truck, man, and winning awards. I think people are actually delicious, and we should probably. I mean, if they're winning chili cook-offs with people, so you need to position your camera higher so I can see you guys, but mainly for the beautiful Miss Monica. Oh, Magnus! You should present him with a log cabin made out of French fries. Nez, you earned yourself a log cabin made out of French fries, sir. So that's pretty gnarly. Okay, so she's playing it. Everything's going good. Nothing happens that whole night while she's on the air. She signs off. LG goes home. She's like locking up the radio station. She goes outside and there's somebody sitting in the waiting room. Not just somebody, but fucking Chop Top. Bill Moseley is in the house as Chop Top, and he's like, He's basically Beavis, right? Beavis and Butthead.
Oh, wow.
Better than
Music is my life. I'm here to buy some advertising time on your radio station. And she's like, it's 12 o'clock at night. Get the fuck out of here. Oh, yeah. Oh, sorry. Hey, I'm a big fan. And basically, he just gets really like awkward and creepy with her. And he's like, can I have a tour of the radio station? And she basically gives him a tour of a desk, like showing him all the stuff that's on a desk. And then she's like, okay, there's the exit sign. You got to go. And he's like, oh, yeah. Okay. She's like, okay, good night. And he's like, okay, night. He's like, oh, what's that over here? Is it the record vault? I'm paraphrasing this because this scene goes on for about 10 minutes. And it's very awkward and uncomfortable and kind of tense. But eventually they turn the light on in the record vault and Leatherface comes running out of there at full speed with a chainsaw.
Yeah, he had to ruin it.
But you ruin
There
what?
was a moment there.
Well, do you think they were falling in love, Chop Top and Stretch? You're out of your fucking mind. See, all right.
I love him.
He's crazy. He's batshit. You like him better as Chop Top or as Otis Driftwood?
No,
Chop Top?
yes.
He's not. Otis is dangerous. I don't feel like Chop. I mean, Chop Top is dangerous, but he seems like
No, I have a better chance of getting killed by Otis.
way better.
Yeah.
Way. I feel like you could talk your way away from Chop Top.
Yeah.
Dance
You
around
could.
them.
Yeah, you could be like, "What's that over there?" and then run, and then he'll just go on dancing with a corpse, and then that'll be that. But here's another correlation that I struck upon between this movie and Nightbreed. I think that Narcisse from Nightbreed and Chop Top are pretty much the same guy. They both have fucked up faces and heads. They both like to dance with dead bodies. They both live in weird underground dungeon-esque necropolis type of situations. I think really they're both a lot of fun, really. You know,
Yeah.
they're pretty much the same guy, I think. I think maybe Clive Barker stole a little bit from Texas Chainsaw Massacre Part 2.
Maybe.
I mean, there's future similarities that we're going to get to here in a minute. So anyway, that's fun. It gets really weird. Leatherface like accidentally clips Chop Top as he's coming out of the door, and the Sonny Bono wig comes off, and what we
Yeah.
see underneath is like a full metal plate. Now, as I mentioned last week, I was under the impression that Chop Top was actually the hitchhiker from Texas Chainsaw Massacre 1.
That's what I thought.
Me too. That is actually not true, though. The hitchhiker is actually the dead body that they're dancing around with throughout the entire movie. We know that for a fact because later on in the movie, Drayton Sawyer's going to be like, come here, Nubbins, and then he grabs the dead guy and pulls him under the table. Nubbins, who we came to know in the Leatherface prequel, was actually the hitchhiker, and we know that because he had that huge birthmark that went up and down his face. So we're getting deeper into the Sawyer lore and the family tree and
Very
stuff.
interesting.
We're putting things together and making things happen. So that's pretty gnarly. What we get here is like a weird cat and mouse game where Stretch runs up into what appears to be like a freezer type of a thing. I don't know why they would have a freezer at a radio station, but it's got a big heavy metal door. She goes in there and locks herself in. While that's going on, Chop Top is just like making it rain records in the record vault. And Leatherface is like trying to get into there. Once he gets in there, which he does by cutting through the drywall. So I guess it's not really a freezer because a freezer would be an enclosed place. I don't know what that fucking room was.
I don't know.
They had like a bunch of cases of beer in there and stuff. It could have been a freezer, but he comes through the drywall. And this is where things get really wacky because I don't want to see a sex scene involving Leatherface or anything close to a sex scene involving Leatherface, but we're about to get one here in a kind of a weird way. So Stretch is like trying to talk her way around. She's like, "Are you mad at me?" And Leatherface just keeps jumping up and down with the chainsaw. And then she's like, "How mad at me are you?" Like on a scale of 1 to 10, are we talking? But it gets him to like calm down for a second. And he's got, hey, Tony's in the house. What's up, Tom?
Hey, Tony.
Hi, Tony.
It was a prize vault. You're exactly right, Tom. That makes more sense. Although whenever they say a prize vault, I never pictured it as an actual vault. I always thought it was just like a corner closet in a radio station. Anyway, it doesn't matter. So Leatherface takes the chainsaw blade and he starts like rubbing it up and down the inside of her thigh, and she's like, are you, what did she say? Are you good? How good are you? Now, what the fuck are we talking about here, kids? Are we talking about having sex with Leatherface? Because, I mean, I get it. She's trying to talk her way out of this, but let's not get pornographic here. And she's got Daisy Dukes on. You can pretty much see her tonsils through those things. And she's like all sweaty and stuff. And I'm gonna go ahead and make an assessment here and say Leatherface came in his pants, right?
Yeah.
He's like, and then I think he got all embarrassed afterward, as he should, because that was, I don't know if he had the saw up against his dick and the vibrator. I don't know where he went with that, but it appeared for all intents and purposes that he blew a load, and then he got all nervous and ran out of there. And then he told Chop Top that he killed her like in a weird Leatherface kind of nod your head kind of way. But while all that was going on, LG came back, and he was like giving Chop Top a hard time. So we kind of got a call back here to the original Chainsaw Massacre, where Chop Top hits LG in the head with a hammer, and he does like the kicking chicken with his legs for a minute, and then they drag him off because he's prize meat.
Mm-hmm.
He's a big fat hillbilly. They're gonna be able to feed, a couple of little league teams with that guy.
Yeah.
So they drag him off, throw him in the back of the truck. Stretch comes out, and she's like, I can't let him get away. Lefty, where are you, Lefty? She hops in her Jeep and follows these fucking guys back to their lair, which is an abandoned, I'm going to say, amusement park or possibly a miniature golf course. I don't know what it was. It was Texas Battle Land.
I'm gonna say
Amusement park, maybe a museum. I don't know what the fuck it was, but it's abandoned, and it has been Sawyerfied. Troy's in the house. What's up, Troy? It has been full on Sawyerfied. Excuse me. With like all the same shit we saw in the first movie. You got like the weird skeleton mobile things and the wind chimes, and they're real artsy craftsy type of dudes with dead stuff.
Yeah, they are.
Which is,
yeah.
I imagine that place smells real bad.
I would think so.
Just with all the rotten crap. So about this time, she decides she's gonna like try to infiltrate Texas Battle Land and get. I don't know what she's hoping to achieve with that, but she was gonna follow them into their lair and try to figure out what's going on. She gets about halfway in, and then another car pulls up and starts chasing her. It's a Volvo. I don't see the Sawyers driving a Volvo, but I don't really see Lefty Enright driving a Volvo either. Mm-hmm. Needless to say, it is Lefty. He gets out and he's like, Stretch! And she's like, Lefty! And then she finds the trapdoor.
Yeah.
Much like Midian, she plummets through into the subterranean, into this weird, bizarro necropolis wonderland type of a place.
Yeah.
No, well, I guess there are technically monsters here, but not the weird ones like we had in Midian. Anyway, she's down there. And Lefty tries to save her by grabbing a skeleton hand and like, hey, pull up here, girl. There's no fucking way a skeleton hand is going to hold her.
I think he thought it was a stick.
Whoa.
Because after he pulled it up, he's like, oh.
All right. That makes more sense than actually using the skeleton hand. And needless to say, she falls all the way down and lands on her ass, gets knocked unconscious. Lefty goes back and gets his chainsaw Rambo-esque tool belt thing, and he's like, he does like a quick little prayer, Lord, give me the strength to fight these demons and see what I fear. And then he does like a Mad Max charge, and he's like, ah! And goes running right in there. Which is funny because the Mad Max charge only lasts until he gets inside. Then he's like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
It's all lit up with Christmas lights, and there's skeleton shit hanging all over the place. Feathers everywhere. Where the fuck are they getting all these chickens? I have no idea. It's pretty much like if you took the house from the original Chainsaw Massacre, but turned it into like a gay nightclub or something, because it is bizarro now. And it's on a much bigger scale. They've got rugs, furniture, all kinds of cool shit. Mm-hmm. So Stretch is unconscious. She has fallen down into some kind of a body chute disposal room or something like that. Lefty's walking around and he's like, Lord, I need to bring this place down. Bring it all down. And then he just starts sawing away at random support beams. Mm-hmm. Now, I'm all for destroying this place, but you want to find a way to do it from the outside. Because if you're in there when you hit the wrong support beam, you're now trapped in there with the cannibal family and the demons and all that shit that you're so much afraid of. But in a weird move, he like finds a wall and kicks a hole in it, and a bunch of I assume human guts come spewing out of there.
Yeah.
Did he kick a hole in the guts closet? Because was that just where they kept all the guts?
I think
I
so.
would assume.
That was the storage part.
Okay, guts and entrails over there, brains and spinal cords over there, balls and dicks. Just throw those out. We don't need those. I don't know why there would be holding on.
But wouldn't they eventually dry out?
You would think so. So did they put them all there that night? If they did, they must have went on some kind of a rampage or something. Like 35 dead guys in there. All right, either way, he's freaking out. Eventually, Stretch comes to, and she wakes up just as she wakes up like in the body preparation room or whatever it is, and the Leatherface comes in and he starts skinning LG.
Mm-hmm.
And Stretch is doing her best to keep quiet and oh good, but eventually she kicks some shit over and Leatherface finds her.
Of course.
Now, here is where things get even weirder because Stretch has to half-ass convince Leatherface that she's his girlfriend or something. And it works because as she's there talking to him, Drayton and Chop Top come in and Leatherface actually hides her from them.
Mhm.
So that worked out pretty nicely. Once they leave, though, things get really weird because Leatherface like takes LG's face off and puts it on Stretch, and then takes his hat off and puts it on Stretch also, and then like starts dancing with Stretch.
Mm-hmm.
So, what's up with Leatherface? Is he gay?
I don't think
Why
so.
is he putting dudes' faces on hot chicks before he can, get romantic there? What's up with that?
I think it's just because that's how he is.
All right, yeah, I'll buy that.
I mean, it'd be different if you like cut off his wiener and stick it on.
Well, if we keep going with this scene, that just might end up where we end up. Leatherface is a trisexual. He'll try to fuck anything. You're probably right, Tony. I have more evidence for that. Leatherface was necro-bi-curious, Tom says.
Ah.
I'm sure there's a subreddit for that somewhere, Tom.
I wonder if he ever came before.
He did in the radio station about 20 minutes ago, remember?
Well, no, but
Before
this
that?
movie, like that's why he like liked her a little bit.
I'm going to say
'Cause it felt
negative.
great, and he's like, "Ooh, maybe she can do this again."
I'm gonna. I mean, he. I don't even want to think about it.
Produce more family one day.
Well, they would, but they don't. Is the thing because I mean, you don't see any youngins running around there, do you? It's just Drayton, Chop Top, and Bubba, and
I know.
Nubbins
but
for a
as the
minute.
generations go on, we get more people, and it's like, where did they come from?
I don't know. I don't want to think about Sawyer family sexual practices. It's gonna gross me out. I'm sure there's a porno parody out there somewhere. Anyway, God. So that's what happens, but eventually he has to leave there because Drayton's calling him. So he ties Stretch up in a weird way, like elbow to elbow, but she's still got the face and the hat on, and he like secures her to the wall. So she's got about 12 feet of running room there. Unfortunately for LG, he is not in fact dead. He wakes up minus a face and a couple stretches of skin that have been removed, like a flank is gone and part of his leg. And of course, he like hawks 13 loogies before he sits up. And he's like, "Oh, girl, what happened to me? Don't be scared now. I'm going to cut you loose." And he gets up and he's like staggering around with this big butcher knife. And eventually he does cut her loose, which is great. I thought he was going to stab her,
I did too. Yeah.
which would have been the funniest death in the Chainsaw Massacre franchise if that did in fact happen. Oh, darling, I'm just going to stab you in the neck. Ah! Anyway, he cuts her loose, and she manages to get out of there. Very cool. From there, we get another like weird cat and mouse game where she's like trying to avoid the Sawyers, and they don't know that Drayton and Chop Top don't even know that she's there. Bubba does, but he thinks that she's still secure. While that's going on, Enright is upstairs. He has completely lost his shit and is just sawing away at anything and everything, which is causing like massive tremors and shit to fall from the ceiling. This fucking place, man, it basically is Midian, right? You have like a big chamber and then a bunch of weird pipeways
Like
that
a
go
mine.
in and out of everywhere, and I don't know, dude. I don't know what's going on here. But eventually they come to realize that there's somebody upstairs fucking with shit. So they go up there to try to find him, and that gives Stretch a little room to move. Now we're going to cut back upstairs to Enright, who comes across a oddly bisected skeleton in a wheelchair holding a flashlight. We just found Franklin, boys and girls,
There he is.
and he's still fucking annoying. If he could complain, he probably would. He's like, "Oh, Franklin, I'm sorry I wasn't there." We're going to find out that Enright was actually the uncle of the Hardesty kids, Sally and Franklin. So that's probably why he's, pushing so hard to find the chainsaw killers, because he's the only one that actually believes Sally Hardesty's story. And now he just found the dead Franklin skeleton there, which is nasty. So then he goes on about, sawing everything down. Eventually, Stretch gets caught, and she goes on a little chase. Leatherface chases her down. In a really cruel twist of fate, she's about to connect with Lefty, but then he saws the wrong support beam and causes a tunnel collapse, which traps her with Leatherface and the Sawyers. They all catch up to her, and we get a very weird, I guess, ribbing, for lack of a better phrase, where they're like, "Oh, Bubba, that's your girlfriend. Bubba's got a girlfriend. Bubba's got a girlfriend." And here comes Drayton. "You want to know about the birds and the bees and the sex and the ladies? You just ask me anything, Bubba." Yeah. Yeah. Education not a priority for these guys, needless to say. And I don't know, man. I think like the plan may have been to capture Stretch and maybe use her for reproduction or something. It sounds gross. It sounds like nothing I want to be a part of or to witness. And she's like trying to like break up with Leatherface on the spot. She's like, "It's just not working. We're too different." And he's like, "Boom, boom." So they capture Stretch. They take her back to the big antechamber, knock her out, and then we kind of get another flashback to the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre, where they're gonna have Grandpa come down and kill her with a hammer. Grandpa actually looks a lot better than he did the last time we saw him.
Yeah.
Looks like he's gotten some sun, maybe a little exercise. Still hasn't gotten out of that shabby suit or gotten a haircut. But other than that, I think he could maybe set up a Tinder profile or something.
Yeah.
I know somebody that's into old man porn. She. So I'm gonna swipe right on this guy. Look at him. I bet he knows how to swing a hammer. Hey, it's the Dino and Ted show. What's up, guys?
I need to search up cannibal.
Yeah.
Wonder if that's real.
Oh,
Look into it.
there's a subreddit for everything. I'm telling you right now, nasty. So that's pretty. That's pretty gnarly. But they do like a replay of what they did to Sally Hardesty. They make fun of her a lot, and they're like, "Oh, Grandpa's gonna come down and kill you. He's the best there ever was." Grandpa is 152 at this point, and he's he can like grip the hammer, but he's got nothing on it. So he just like basically keeps dropping it on her head. Gets a good couple whacks in. Eventually, Drayton gets pissed off. He's like, "Oh, God damn it, Grandpa!" He picks up the hammer and whacks her a good one. Knocks her out even. Has her bent over the bucket, the whole shit. They're about to go to work on the killing and raping and whatever the hell they were about to do to Stretch when here comes Lefty. And he's singing Christian hymnals in the tunnels, and he jumps down and he's like, "Boys, boys, boys, you never should have been doing this stuff." And they're like, "God damn it." So they all attack Lefty. Well, actually, Bubba, Leatherface, attacks Lefty. They have themselves a nice little chainsaw sword fight type of a thing. Yeah. Somehow in the mix of this, Drayton gets a chainsaw right to the asshole and like hides under a table. Chop Top takes off after Stretch. She actually regains consciousness and just starts running blindly through the tunnels. So those two run off. This part is pretty weird because we get a very Die Hard-esque chainsaw fight where they're on top of a table fighting each other with chainsaws. Underneath the table, Drayton is having like this whole self-reflective monologue about the small businessman and you can't catch a fair break in this country with this government. And
Yeah.
it gets very, very reflective. At one point, he's like, "Oh, he got me good right in the asshole. Well, I don't have to have my hemorrhoids looked at. He saved me a trip to the doctor. Ooh, look at the blood. Oh, that's a bad one. Ugh." We're getting a lot of information from Drayton. I wonder if he talks to himself this much regularly. I don't know.
Probably.
Probably. Anyway, eventually, and this is where I found out who the hitchhiker was. He grabs the dead guy and he's like, "Come here, Nubbins." Nubbins was the hitchhiker from the original. And he's like, "You got that? Fuck you." Apparently, these guys have grenades. Where the fuck they got grenades, I have no idea. But this dead body had a grenade on it the whole time. Pulls out a grenade, standard pineapple bomb. Just as that's happening, Lefty actually gets the better of Leatherface and plunges the big chainsaw right into his stomach. It's never overtly stated that he killed Leatherface, but that's the last we're going to see him for the movie. Hey, Tim's in the house. What's up, Tim?
Hey, Tim.
Talking about Leatherface, Chainsaw Massacre 2 here, buddy. From there, he just pulls the pin on the grenade and he's like, "Well, I'm not going to jail." And he blows himself up. And presumably Enright and Leatherface and the whole fucking catacomb with him. All right, whatever. From there, we're going to cut to the chase that's happening between Chop Top and Caroline as they're firing around this bizarro amusement park. She finds like a weird ladder that goes up through a chute.
Yeah, it's a big old.
Yeah, it's kind of ironic considering the whole EXIT situation we had earlier in the movie. Goes firing up the ladder. We find a weirdo chamber, like almost volcanic looking type of a thing on top of this paper mache mountain where we have the dead body of Grandma, I guess. Mike's in the house.
Hey, Mike.
What's going on, Mike? I don't want to say that this is Verna Sawyer because this dead body is gross. It's big and fat and it looks miserable. And I guess she was half-ass alive in a weird way when they got up there.
Yeah.
But when
I think he called her grandma.
I hope so.
Yeah, I thought it was.
Yeah.
Did we see Grandpa's wife in Leatherface though? I don't think we did. So who is that lady? I want to know what happened to Verna Sawyer. That's who I'm interested in. I don't know. I like to think that this was not Verna Sawyer because if it is, she really let herself go, man. She ate a lot of people. Fucking dude. And apparently they weren't in very good shape either, whoever they were, because she has put on some pounds. Big fat dead body up there, but it's holding a chainsaw. So Stretch grabs a chainsaw, which I guess somehow kills Grandma. And we get a pretty gnarly scene here where Chop Top is like slashing away at Stretch's back while she's trying to fire up the chainsaw.
That was pretty cool.
It was. Looked like it hurt a lot.
Yeah.
Eventually she gets it fired up and takes a good slash at Chop Top. He goes barreling backwards out of the volcano thing and down into the tunnel. And then Stretch ends up doing the Leatherface dance on top of the volcano.
Yeah.
As if to say, "I'm now a crazy broad. I'm going to start eating people because, I mean, why not, really, at this point, right?" And that's pretty much the end of your movie.
The Texas Chainsaw Dance.
I love it. I love it. We need some choreography here.
Yeah, right.
And some backup dancers and some, put a beat behind that, would you? I do.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, sure. It's electric though.
Oh.
It's not a real one. It's like the one from Murder Party where the guy had to keep unplugging it and finding a new place to plug it in so he could chase the guy. What did you guys think of Texas Chainsaw Massacre Part 2?
I liked it.
I love it.
Yeah, this is my favorite.
Classic.
Mm-hmm.
I think you guys are going to be pleasantly surprised with the third installment. Have you seen that one? Viggo Mortensen and Ken Foray.
Oh, yes.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good. It's not bad. It doesn't. I don't think it really fits into the franchise per se.
Yeah, I don't know how it picks up after this.
I don't think it does. I think we are supposed to just assume that that's a new family with a new leather dude in a
See,
dead guy
a
face.
new family.
It could happen. It could happen. No bionic legs in this one though. That's not till later on. It's just me, or is Stretch hot as fuck? I would agree with you, Tim, especially in the Daisy Dukes.
Wait, she wasn't hot. She had awesome legs.
She
That
did,
scene
yeah.
where she's going up the stairs and you see her butt and her
They had a
legs.
nice keister on
I
her
know.
too.
I was like, yeah, she's got a nice ass. Like,
She does. She was,
Hairstyle, not so much.
well, 1986. What do you
kinda
expect?
looked older.
Yeah.
Like an older chick.
How old do you think she was?
I'm
Mid to late 20s?
No, she was like
No,
good
maybe.
body,
You could be right. I don't know.
butterface.
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 I'm all right with that. I don't know. It's okay with
I
me.
know that's all you guys need. I know, Tim. That's all you need.
Oh, it's good time.
Let the lights out though.
That's
that mouth over here.
hey now. I'm gonna take a walk. I think these two need a minute. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you next week. Anyway, that's pretty much. You guys like Chainsaw Massacre too?
Mhm.
I felt like this one's more of a comedy than an actual horror movie.
Yeah.
There's some really ridiculous shit going on here.
I waited until over the part where he's in the radio station.
Oh yeah,
Picking it with a hanger?
yeah. He's
Yeah.
eating parts of his scalp with a coat hanger. I mean, I get the itchies and the scratchies from time to time, and I'll have it. I'm not going to eat it though.
No.
You know, you pop a blister, you're not going to eat. You're not going to eat the disgusting blister skin.
Yeah.
Ugh. Now, ugh.
Hey, you know, now he said about the grandma, I feel like, what is there a little clip from the first one? I'm gonna have to rewatch it now. and drive
From
me
part
crazy.
in this one.
No.
I don't think so.
In part one.
With
the
what?
grandma.
Yeah, there was a grandma in there,
Okay.
up in the attic.
Yeah,
But it was another big fat lady.
yeah, you know.
I don't want
I
it
think
to
it
be.
is.
I don't want that to be Verna Sawyer. I want that
That's
to
what I
be.
thought it was.
Didn't she really let herself go? Because she was mildly attractive in Leatherface. She was played by Lily Taylor, who was a reasonably attractive young lady. But she's not a big fat lady, man.
Well,
I know. Yes, we did.
Well,
You have too many kids, and then you don't have time to eat right and stay. All right, that's a whole other thing. All right, we're gonna take us a little break, inmates. We'll come back with some other stuff.
What a Chainsaw diet. Give us some extra skin.
You have to catch whatever you're gonna eat. It's the only way.
Yeah.
You have to catch it and tackle it. You have to fight it with a broom.
God, I forgot about part 3 with Vigo.
Viggo Mortensen, baby.
Yeah.
All right, guys, we'll hang for another minute or two. Join us next week for Leatherface, which is part 3 in the franchise here in the season of the Saw.
What year was that?
I want to say 92, 91, 92 area. Hey, you have a good night too, Raven. We'll see you next week, huh? Hope you're enjoying the season of the Saw here in the padded room. We're going to be doing Chainsaw Massacre movies all month, and the other shows here in the Padded Room Network are also doing remakes and other Leatherface stuff related movies that somehow movies with other chainsaws in them.
Bye, Raven.
We'll see you next week, my dear. All right, well, I guess we'll go ahead and kill this feed. The regular podcast will be up later tonight. You can find that at paddedroompodcast.com, along with all the other shows we offer here on the network. Horror for Dummies, Wicked Wednesdays, Who Will Survive, Shock Treatment, other ones that I'm forgetting at this exact moment, but they're on there. So thank you. They're on there.
They're
We'll
on there.
see you next week, guys. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks, guys.